So, still no response from APD, and for the past 2 hours, I would say, um, they're saying hour and a half. The middle of my back has just been pounded upon, and now it feels like it's being heated up and warmer than the rest of my back or body. Um, that hurts my hand. When I do that, my hand does not hurt here. My hand hurts there. My hand hurts more there. My hand hurts more there. I can feel strong electrical pulses hit my hand. Or they say sonic pulses, I don't know what the fuck it is. I assume it's like an electro laser or something kind of like that. Anyway, I've sent an email to APD again. I said I would appreciate a call back. Well, it's in the description, but I'm at a loss to why they won't even give me a call back. Like, even if I was a crazy drug addict, which I'm not either which, not that it should matter, with regards to being a victim of anything, certainly of terrorism. They're trying to choose my words for me, so that's why I don't. That's why I pause sometimes in these videos. None of the detectives will call me back either, or the sergeant who hung up on me once, or lieutenant, or commander, or assistant chief. And they could have solved this case almost 2 years ago if they had just followed up on my lead. We could have been solved more than 2 years ago if other people did the right thing and other officers weren't being sketchy and horrible people and doing things that they shouldn't be doing. Could have avoided a whole bunch of this stuff happening, but they are pounding my back, and I don't have back issues. I didn't sleep on my back wrong. I didn't get out of bed with a sore back. I did with a sore neck because I keep zapping my neck, but I didn't actually sleep at all last night. Not that I could, even if I wanted to. That, my hand hurts. That is not a neurological condition. That is not a mental illness. My brain is not imagining a non-existent beam and then figuring out when I put my hand up somewhere where that beam is going to happen, and then transfer the pain from my back to my hand. That is not happening. That is utterly ridiculous. And I keep telling my dad, and I keep telling friends and doctors and whatever, and they keep thinking it's schizophrenia. Schizophrenia does not cause pain. I do not have neurosyphilis. I am perfectly fine, with the exception of being a victim of a terrorist attack, probably by the SWAT team and or Vice Squad and other people. I know they certainly protect them, and as do other officers of APD, of Austin Police Department, Maynard Police Department, and Travis County Sheriff Departments. I know that for a fact. I'm feeling strong electrical pulses hit my hand right here, and they're running up my forearm. So from my hand to my forearm, or to almost to my elbow, it kind of, numb is not quite the right word, but that's the closest word to describe it. I'm literally feeling my arm be mildly electrocuted, and that hurts. That caused almost like a knuckle popping sound in my wrist. They do that sometimes. It's very disconcerting. Now they're hitting my back again. I've got more than one of these things on me. I can do this. I can feel strong electrical pulses hit the palm of my hand and my wrist and my forearm. And the further that I reach back, the stronger that they are. I'm feeling strong electrical pulses. Now they moved it. I'm still feeling it a little bit, but there, I feel it more strongly there. So, I am not imagining that. I did not do anything wrong. My family, my friends have treated me like shit, and haven't believed me, and have continued to let me suffer. And it's irreparably damaged our relationship. And I just wish that they would believe me, and I wish they would do the right thing. Had they helped me and followed up on these leads instead of remembering things wrong, which wasn't entirely their fault, because it's partially due to this, And Dad, I guarantee you, said this many times in these videos that you don't watch. Remember, I can tell when you watch these videos. There's many statistics on these videos, and you are not watching them. Unless Google's hiding those figures, which, you know, I don't want to get paranoid, but they keep saying that. And if someone at Google is trying to do this, you're not doing the right thing. Not that I really think that, but I did think at one point in time when I saw some things happen on my phone, some bugs or some bug fixes, some partial bug fixes, I was like, someone at Google is aware of what's going on. Hopefully for good reasons. I wasn't trying to think the worst of the situation. And they pointed it out too. So it's kind of scary to think that they saw the same thing that I did, and they pointed it out, and they claimed it's because they had someone on the inside doing this to give me false hope. And if that's not true, I mean, I hope that's not true. I don't think that that's true. And if that's not true, that's the dumbest thing in the world for them to do. But I guess they're doing that because they know. And by the way, if you are planning something and you're on my side and you do care about me, and you are working this, just tell me and get me the fuck out of here. Like, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be in the city. I don't want to be near the city. I want to get the fuck out of here. Stop treating me like shit. Like, like, help me live somewhere instead of treating me like a horrible person that deserves to be homeless and deserves for people to be constantly attacking him. I'm not imagining this. I'm in a sound state of mind. I'm agitated right now because they're working me up. And it's like, I challenge anyone to go through this and not lose their shit and lose their patience and lose their mind, as I'm sure other people have, and who perhaps have lost their life or caused harm or taken the life of someone else, which they promote heavily. It's hard to believe that, like, I choose not to do that. I choose not to resort to self-help. I choose not to do something like this, which would be understandable. I would understand anyone doing that when APD, MPD, Travis County Sheriff's Department, when they leave you with no help, and you know that there's these people, these henchmen that have done wrong to you, and these officers that you know have done wrong to you. It's like, I can totally understand someone doing that. I refuse to do that, for the record, but I totally understand someone wanting to do that when they're left with no help. And by the way, for those henchmen, for those officers and civilians that do the bidding of these people, you should know, not that you'll ever find out through this video, but hopefully word will eventually get to you. You should know that immediately following your fuckovers, or you're fucking with the people, the victims, like Gavin from the Grove, and the maintenance man from the Grove, and the two ladies from Red River Family Practice, and the officer who planted drugs on me, and the officers who tased me illegally and charged me with resisting arrest and had no probable cause and shouldn't have done anything with me, and the officers from the Travis County Sheriff's Department from 2 incidents ago that watched me literally get brought to my knees, being electrocuted, doing nothing, and giving and putting a bottled water that I had requested after giving me just a couple sips out of reach because they handcuffed me, even though I was in no danger and I said I would comply with all their instructions. And I thought they were driving me home. Instead, they took Max home and arrested Tim and took me, had me forcibly sedated on the way to St. David's. And in the last incident, the Maynard Police Department, the first group of officers, they did the right thing by leaving the residence. And then Alan Stewart, who is a constable with Travis County, lied to the next group of officers. He had no reason to call the police on me. I was doing nothing wrong. I was completely quiet in my room. I wasn't doing a damn thing except trying to go to sleep with Max or just lie there quietly. He blasted a Bluetooth speaker. I thought Tim had done it for some reason. And I thought, oh shit, Alan's gonna freak the fuck out again. So I went out into the hallway, I turned it off, and I moved it closer to Tim's closed door. And Alan came out yelling, "Give me back my Bluetooth speaker." And I opened the door again because I just got back into my room. And Alan was right there in my face. And I pointed behind him. I said, "Alan, it's right there. I thought Tim did that. I thought it would bother you." And then I closed the door. And then I heard him say, like, "Tim, I'm getting the hammer." And then he literally hammered through my door. And then unlocked it. And had Tim, who was immediately available, to take the door handle off. And I will never forgive them for it. I will never speak to those people ever again. That was horrible for what they did, and I can't believe even in retrospect that neither of them feel bad about it or apologize for it, because I was illegally evicted. I had done nothing wrong. Even if someone was to do something wrong or was a bad roommate, which I was not, You would give them a 30-day notice. You wouldn't just say like, oh, pff, there you go. Like, I had no idea what the fuck was happening. The police, one officer, I was cowering. My dog had run under the bed. I was cowering in the corner of my bed, which was pushed into the corner of the room. I had 5 officers literally lined immediately around around my bed. And then one of the officers, the second from the left, he was a white officer. He pointed a taser at me. Like literally, I'm like less than 3 feet away from him. He points a taser right at me. I'm like, really? Are we doing this? Like, I don't, like, what? I didn't do anything, like, I'm not thinking about hurting myself or anybody else. I repeatedly said that. And I said, Alan, the owner, took a hammer to the door. And they had already seen that walking in. I saw that at least a couple of them see that on the way in, the hole in the door, the 2 holes in the door, because the door handle had been taken off too with the locking mechanism. Which is then the door handle, which is a twist one. I did have a key on it. I didn't actually realize till like near the end there that it actually had a keyed lock on it. I'd never been given a key to it. And a few of them looked over again, and then they dragged me out of bed again, or they flipped me over, handcuffed me, and dragged me out of bed. And they did something that the Travis County Sheriff officers did too, which was they caused an excessive pain on my left hand. And I was like, that's what they did in the last one. It hurt more in the second to last incident. And that officer smiled at me in a very creepy way. And like these things just keep happening to me, and I'm doing nothing wrong. And then like I get put in the crazy ward after 3 days in the hospital for no reason, when there was one judge just rubber stamping it. I sat in their hospital for 3 days doing nothing but sitting there and eating and watching TV. I kept telling them I'm not thinking about hurting myself or anybody else. I'm the victim. My landlord lied to the police and took a hammer to the door. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything crazy. I didn't act crazy. I'm not thinking about hurting myself or anybody else. And then they put me in Shoal Creek for like a week and a half. And every day I'm like, I'm not thinking about hurting myself or anybody else. I don't want to be here. This isn't helping me. I want to go home. I want my dog. He's my emotional support animal because of this nonsense. And I told that to the Maynard Police Department as well twice. And they didn't bring me my shoes, and they didn't bring me my dog. And they're trying to make me say like horrible things, like threatening things, but I'm not going to do that. And I'm still sitting here, literally, while they're saying nonsense and saying horrible, horrible things that no one should get away with saying. And it takes a group of people to do what they're doing, to make the observations that they make, to comment on things that are outside my field of vision in multiple directions at the speed that they do. That takes a group of people to do. It is not done by one person. It is, and again, oh, now my hand's hurting. My hand feels like it's being electrocuted. It hurts. And now my forearm feels like it's being electrocuted. And I feel pulsations, or in addition to the current, I'm feeling like sporadic bursts through it. So I'm still sitting here. I don't know if I'm going to move to Bastrop. The guy that I thought I was moving in with hasn't contacted me back, which is sort of a pattern. I hope that is just, I hope he's just busy. But my hotel room is up, and my dad's like, I'm disappointing you. It's like, Dad, if you look at those videos, I'm not making that shit up. I'm not imagining it. Even if that was a neurological condition or mental illness, which it's impossible to be. And again, I remember I do have witnesses, and there have been suspects that have confessed that no one's followed up on, that you keep ignoring. And you keep getting mad every time I keep correcting you. What am I supposed to do? When you have something that's wrong, and then like Tom, I finally, after 2 years, finally got Tom to correct the record in a 3-way conversation, and you call me an ass. I was not being an ass. He was supposed to apologize and correct the record, and I expected an apology from you for accusing me of something, even though it wasn't entirely your fault, but for thinking that I'm the type of person that would do that. And I'm sure you're probably not even watching this video, but if you are, you're probably stopping it now, because you get so angry and then you stop it. If you do that, if you really don't believe me, you could be being manipulated. And I know that sounds crazy, but I'm going to remind you again, and that's what I tried to remind you again earlier, that I've said repeatedly in multiple videos, but I got off on a tangent like I often do, thanks to them and this bullshit that's going on. It was not a coincidence when the day after Thanksgiving in 2016, when I was freaking the fuck out, it was not a coincidence that after having visited Chris in my old neighborhood, and the neighbors 2 doors down, that It was not a coincidence that you couldn't think of Gay Seaman's name, the guy that I had met one time in your office that had that interesting name. And it was not a coincidence, and that you could think it's paranoia or whatever. It was absolutely not a mere coincidence that you mentioned having stayed with me at that house that you hadn't been to in over 10 years and telling me the story of when you walked to the Hampton Inn. It was not a coincidence that you mentioned going to the Hampton Inn. When you mentioned that, I literally, at that time, was looking up at the Hampton Inn sign. That was not a coincidence. And if you looked at some of my other videos in the playlist where I say, I let the gang suckers, they talk through me or whatever, like that's, I don't, do you think I literally, do you really think I came down with multiple personality disorder as well at age 41? Also, now known as dissociative identity disorder, which most psychiatrists don't believe exists. I'm not high in any of those videos. I'm not using, I'm not mentally ill. This is not schizophrenia. And again, I thought it was schizophrenia when it was simple, and I was hearing voices when they introduced themselves to me. However, they very quickly proved themselves not to be many times, and the most significant one was when they told me that the guy in 301 had my phone and had hacked my Google account. And they keep saying it's an order of events, like Robin said. I don't give a shit. I'm telling you, I could not have known that. They also did a Simon Says with him, speaking to a guy named Mike, who's the guy who actually stole my phone and returned a phone that was not my phone, that looked like my phone. And I know that because when I used the Find My Device tool after my phone was stolen, and after I got the replacement phone, because in the Note 7 recall they didn't check to make sure that that serial number matched the one that I should have. I think it was a storage display model. My phone was floating around in or around 301 or the room above, which was the room that the guy was in, and his email address, or one that was linked to his social profiles, to 4 of his social profiles, was put in as my recovery email address. I did not know the guy. I spoke to him for like a minute in passing on the stairwell, and he mentioned to me how after 30 days in a hotel, you don't get taxes on it anymore. I could not have known that. I don't have magical abilities. Robin keeps ignoring that. When I said, Robin, this isn't schizophrenia. This is not damage from drug use. This is not drug use. This is, you know, I've never had a bad reaction to that. I know that that doesn't mean that I won't, but I wasn't using in anywhere near the amount or frequency that you thought I was using. You thought I was like slamming every single day for years and years and years. That is absolutely not the case. And that guy that told you, or told Robin, that we were using $500 of meth a day is a complete and absolute liar. He's known for lying all the time for no reason. Even when he's in a good mood with you and has no beef with you, he lies all the time. So I keep correcting you on things, and you keep getting mad at me, ignoring it. But you're not yourself, if that's really the case. And if you are doing something behind the scenes, I need you to tell me that you believe me, because they keep playing sound bites that are either fabricated from a soundboard, which I know that they can do, but they go through so many different scenarios, which I don't like to. I don't like to think what if, but they go through it, and I have no choice but to listen to it because I can't turn it off, and it's not schizophrenia. They keep playing sound clips of you and Tom and Alan and Tim and other people working behind the scenes. And so if you do believe me, and you're working this, you know, somehow, like, I don't know why you went to Chicago. I don't know why you went. I don't know if Costa Rica was just a simple vacation, or if you felt different on that vacation. Maybe you weren't feeling like ideas popping in your head like a lot, because you know, I was concerned that they had people still on you, and that's the reason why you weren't believing me, or you weren't acting rationally when I was trying to give you all this information. When I keep telling you like this, like I don't know how you can ignore the fact that I have witnesses that have felt these beams, and other victims that have felt these beams and have heard these voices and going through the same thing that I'm going through. Even a friend of mine that I talked to and described this, he said he moved out of town. He's no longer hearing the voices. He was beginning to hear voices telling him to go into houses and steal them, but he's like me, and he's a good person. He wouldn't do something like that. But he was hanging around my house a couple times, and then a friend's house, And he was in the same circles that all these other people that were going crazy and thinking people were plotting behind their back and hearing people talk behind their back when they weren't. My arm is being electrocuted now, literally. Now it's not. My back is killing me right now, and I don't have back issues. I can feel a strong electrical current hitting my forearm and my hand, and it's causing it pain. It's causing it to vibrate a little bit. That is not in my head. I need you to, like, you're not treating, even if it was in my head, you're not treating me appropriately. Like, you expect me to find a place. How can I find a place? How can I do anything with this nonsense going on? If you look at those YouTube videos, and those are just the times that I decided to update them. Keep in mind that was going on constantly, and I know that it seems like, well, who would do that? And they're like, exactly, I wouldn't do that either. It's amazing that there's a group of people that would keep this up for years. But imagine like online trolls and online bullies who bully people sometimes into hurting themselves or other people. It's the same mental state. It's the same thing, except these people get to have these devices that allow them to electrocute people through walls. And those devices do exist. You can look up targeted energy weapons or targeted energy beams or whatever on Wikipedia, and you can follow those links. If you're one of those people that says, well, anything on Wikipedia is like, you can make it up and blah, blah, blah. You can follow the references to them, because police departments absolutely purchase these things, and they can bring a person to their knees. They can cause vertigo. Remember Robin had vertigo, and I had vertigo once really badly, which when they first entered my life, at least when I'm pretty sure that they were in my life a long time ago when I was still with Bernie. And it can cause electrocution sensations. It can cause some of them can cause a cool burning sensation. One of the types of weapons, long-range acoustic devices, which has been used to ward off pirates, literally, and ward off, and to be used as crowd control devices and in other crises and hostage scenarios. That can also communicate from afar. I don't know if it works similar to Voice of Skull, but it could also communicate to people when you know, from a long distance. And I believe it can go through walls and objects. And I'm literally moving around because they're killing my back right now. And again, my arm is being electrocuted right now. Now it's more strongly. Now my whole forearm instantly feels like electrocution, a strong, pretty or moderate electrocution. It does not feel good. And they're still hitting my back with another one. They have more than one of these things on me. These devices do exist. I'm not making this up. I have proof of this, and I really wish you would be. I really wish you would have my back, because it's been really disappointing to me and really painful for you to treat me the way that you treated me after I was illegally evicted. They're trying to make me cry. They're fucking with my throat right now. I'm fine. Well, I'm not fine, but like I'm fine. It's been so painful and so hurtful, and you're probably not going to watch this video anyway, or you're probably going to get mad every single time I bring these things up and get all defensive, which is not the dad that I knew. but then again, I guess I didn't know how stubborn you could be. But it's been so hurtful for you to think that I'm the type of person that would do some of the things that you think that I did. And even when I've corrected you on that, and when Tom corrects you on that, you choose to call me an ass instead of, and I didn't say anything that was offensive or asinine at all. I'm the one that was wronged, and you called me an ass. And I can't tell you how painful it is and how much you've hurt me from that. But then, like, you don't think you've done anything wrong. You think I'm a horrible person that's a drug addict and a crazy person, which, by the way, even if I was either of those or both of those, no one deserves this except the people that do this to other people. And even if I was mentally ill, you're still treating me like shit, because how would you expect, even if I was schizophrenic and hearing these things, taking medicine for it, how would you expect that person to be able to find a place when they're constantly being bugged all day and constantly being zapped on their own? How could you expect that from a person